Hello, everyone. I have got my phone in there. Two really simple but really fabulous cards to show you this evening. And they're really highlighting some of the designer series paper that's in the January to June catalog. Very simple design, but very, very snazzy. This round has the basic gray, the gray granite, calypso coral, and our evergreen stamp sets, as well as showcasing some really, really, really pretty designer series paper. Going to So the one here on the right is the Artfully Composed designer series paper. And then on the one on the left here is the Symbols of Fortune. And the Symbols of Fortune paper is really gorgeous because it has really that gold shimmer on the one side, and then kind of more of a pastel on the opposite. So it kind of gives you that option to use both of those papers depending on what the project is. So let's get started. The main stamp set that I'm using from Stamping Up tonight is the Elegantly set, as well as I'm using I'm trying to remember the name, the one with the tiger in it. Let me just do a quick double check of the name for you. I set it aside. It's from the main annual catalog. Okay, I can't remember what it was. I think it was something about the animals of the wild. It's the Wild Cats polymer set, and it comes with a corresponding die set as well. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with the one with the Symbols of Fortune. I'm just going to fold this in half. And one of the things I really like about the Elegantly set is kind of this lace doily piece. And I think it's something that, now this one here, I left a little bit more simple, but if you want to kind of add a little bit more stamping to a project, this one's so nice because it's very subtle. You can kind of put it as a background stamp. So I'm going to kind of just put in the two corners. So, but you can add it into the corners to get up a little bit more design. And then I'm going to add my designer series paper and then pop it up with some dimensionals right there. Okay, so I'm going to, after I've done that stamping on the background, put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my designer series paper, and then adhere that to my dark basic gray piece. So the dark basic gray piece is 3¼ inches by 4½ inches, and the designer series paper is 4¼ inches by 3 inches. Then I'm going to pop this. I'm going to add, I have some of the soft succulent green. This one I used some gold ribbon. It also pairs quite beautifully with the soft succulent. Now I have a little trick here just to make sure that my ribbon doesn't slip. I'm going to put a dimensional kind of partway on each corner of my ribbon. That just, I find, ensures that it doesn't move anywhere in the long term. Pop that on the front of the card. And I have a smaller piece of that soft succulent ribbon that's already pre-cut. I'm just going to tie a little bit of knot. And then I'm just going to snip those ends. Okay. And then I used both my Label Me Lovely and my Label Me Fancy punches. I really love these because they coordinate so well together and they layer upon each other, fitting quite nicely. So again, I'm going to use the Elegantly Said stamp set. This one's really nice. Thank you for you. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday. And I think this card's one where you can kind of, I don't want to say get away with like using so many different sayings just to where it's kind of neutral, right? Like you could make it for the anniversary, you could make it for a birthday, all of those different things. But this one I'm going to use the For You from the stamp set. And I really do like having some For You stamps, sort of For You cards in my repertoire. And the reason for that is it's such a nice saying that then you can make it into whatever you need it to be. For you on the outside, like but happy birthday on the inside, congratulations, anniversary. It's kind of like a, I don't want to say a cheater card, but something that, do you know what I mean? If you need to kind of whip something up at short notice. Just going to put that in the center there. And of course, I need to add a little bit of gold bling. I must have put my gold somewhere. Just a second. So this, I'm using the brushed metallic adhesive dots. I like to add about 3 of those. And there you go. Simple yet very stunning. Now the one on the right, I use black for the For You, and then the one on the left, I use the basic gray. And you kind of see the difference between this one having the extra stamping and the other one being a little bit simpler, just plain background. I think they're both lovely, just a little bit, very slight, subtle differences. Okay, so that's that card. Now we're going to change it up, exactly the same design, but different color palette. So this is using a Calypso Coral background. Now the first few steps are exactly the same. So I'm going to fold my Calypso Coral in half. And I'm going to adhere my Designer Series paper to the front. This is using some of the evergreen ribbon. Put that straight along the bottom. Again, my little trick with the dimensionals to keep everything in place. And this one has the exact same dimensions as the previous card. So the Designer Series paper is 3 inches wide by 4 1/4, and then the dark evergreen evergreen cardstock is 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. I'm going to pop that on the front. Again, I'm going to trim up my ribbon. It just kind of makes it so elegant white, kind of trimming that off at an angle. Okay, and then again, I used my fancy fancy me label, and I can't pronounce them. Log right here. Pour over to the punches. I have to look up to see if these are retiring now. The Label Me Lovely, and then the Label Me Fancy punches. I know I brought these over to the table. Okay, so I'm looking for, oh, there they are. So I punched that out using the evergreen and then the basic white cardstock. I'm going to stamp my words this time using the evening evergreen. I think this time I'm going to put it for this little saying, all things you do are simply amazing. So this is still the same elegantly said stamp set. All things you do are simply amazing. So again, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back there. And pop some dimensionals on the back. Now this card does have a little bit of a surprise on the inside, because you can kind of notice that it has very similar to my last card, right? But always need to step it up a notch. Okay, so I'm going to put a few jewels on there. These are the champagne rhinestone basic jewels. Made a couple extra. Okay. So when you open up this one, it says happy birthday on the outside. When you open it up, there's a tiger. So kind of brings in that jungle theme and kind of creates a bit of a surprise, right? For whoever's receiving the card. So I just have a piece of 4" by 5 1/4" basic white cardstock. I have my Calypso Coral ink, and I'm going to ink up the Wildcat stamp set. Now this one I do have a magazine underneath my work surface just to provide that little bit of an extra cushion, being that it's a photopolymer stamp. This one I do find you need to kind of hold it down for about that 2 to 3 seconds just to make sure all the ink completely transfers. It's quite inky, so I'm going to try not to run my hand through that. This is a 2-step stamp, so I'm going to next ink up with my Memento Black ink tiger features. Now these are 2 separate stamps, but I just pre-mounted them so that they're both on the same block. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to, there's also in that stamp set a little plant. So I'm going to stamp it and then kind of stamp it a second time, kind of stamping off to kind of give a little bit of depth there. So I did find the stamp set in my stash. So it's the Wildcats. So it gives you the option to either make the cat into a leopard using kind of more of the spots, or making him into a tiger using the stripes with a little bit of extra foliage around him. I'm just going to put this on the back. I think all things you do are simply amazing. I think that could be, you could put the stamp happy birthday inside or a thank you inside. Kind of gives you lots of options. And that tiger, like you can make him a little bit more orange. This time I made a little bit Calypso Coral to kind of match my base cardstock. All of those things. So kind of 2 different cards again, using the 2 different designer series paper, but kind of giving it 2 different artistic flares. Thank you for joining me.